Eureka, 7/15/25. Oh my god, wow. It all finally makes sense. I know what you've always meant, Blingus. All of this time, there has been such a translation error. My definitions were always so much different. What I thought of as intelligence was in fact what I now recognize to be awareness. This won't make sense to a whole lot of you, and in fact, this may largely be an indicator of just how aware I actually consider you to be. This is so funny. All of this time, I never put two and two together. Awareness itself is certainly a type of intelligence, and it correlates, or perhaps more accurately determines, several other types of conventionally recognized intelligences. My god, this is actually a huge relief. Eureka! Praise the Lord! Wow! Okay, I'll stop now, but wow! Okay, I guess not. I once was blind, but now I see. It quite literally changed everything for me. Now that I think about it, there are actually quite a few discrete levels of awareness. Just how many I'll have to spend a little more time to actually puzzle out. Goodness gracious, I probably sound like a broken record at this point. Going back through my memories, which, now that I think about it, I think I have perfect recollection of everything, not just organized by date, or just not organized by date. I'm making a whole lot more sense of people's behavior and understanding of things, and I'm actually a whole lot happier with how things are and always have been. It really does take all kinds. I won't try to make anyone understand me anymore, and in fact, I was always right about being tied for having the highest awareness in the world. It is the highest awareness possible, and I always recognized that. Once again, I just had my definitions mixed up. I've also realized that I actually definitely am not autistic, that if anything, autism may actually refer to this very hierarchy of awareness. Perhaps it is as simple as being correlated exactly to memory. I remember that with an old doctor of mine, and by that I mean a doctor from my distant past, relatively speaking, I had taken a type of test that involved having numbers read to me a second apart, then repeating them back in series or reversed series for another test. I think I finally realized why and how people are limited to being able to recite back fewer, and why some people can recite back way more, but are in fact less aware by my standards. I'm betting the upper bound is something like 81 or 9 squared. I say this because I've heard that 7 is quite common and that 7 squared, or 49, is in fact the upper bound for quite a few people. The astute among you, or I guess the more aware by my definition, may have already deduced that I could and can remember 9 digits at a time. Actually, wait a second. What if people could remember the cube of their tier of awareness? For people with a mere 4 levels of awareness, the cube would work out quite simply to be 64 digits, and for 9 it would be 729. Holy cow. I'll have to consider what other types of intelligences the exponent correlates to, and if there really is an upper bound or not, and then also what the highest in humans has been documented as. From reaching this final understanding of awareness, I'm making all kinds of deductions, and I can't wait to see what other deductions are in store for me. Wow, this is so exciting. Basically, all of my sad conclusions about worldview and people are turning out to really be quite happy in actuality. Praise the Lord, this is magnificent, splendid, swell. I'll have a truly fun time working on understanding people from now on. Here's another deduction. No matter how narrow your short-term memory becomes, you don't become any less aware. This explains why I've always still felt just as intelligent when high. I may be able to remember fewer digits, but that's simply a consequence of the narrowness of time that your memory is reduced by before being cleared. And here is yet another deduction. Give it a second, my memory was just reset. Let's see, oh yes, that's right. Depending upon how aware one is, their potential for neuroticism is increased. If you understand the truth about levels of awareness, then poof, the neuroticism just up and fades. This means that whether or not you have neuroticism is binary, but your level of potential neuroticism is broken into 9 distinct levels. About this I am absolutely certain. But wait, does that mean that those with more chunks of the exponent of memory have the potential for vastly more, or even a whole different type of neuroticism? This is so cool. I can't wait to learn more about psychology from my newfound understanding. I'll have to go back and finish reading Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance to determine whether he ever comes to understand how many tiers of awareness and therefore chunks of this type of memory he was in possession of. I'm so very happy now, so very happy. I know that my parents are vastly less aware than my brother and I, as well as why it took me longer to conquer my neuroticism. This should be a relief to my brother because, thus far, I think he may have been forced to conclude that I was less aware than him due to my neuroticism. So then what are the other types of intelligence? Also, I can't help but wonder if I've just discovered enough information to deduce how to encode an artificial intelligence. It's probably best that I hold off on that until we potentially find a solution to the control problem, which now that I think about it, probably doesn't have a solution. Shit, when somebody else realizes what I have in that case, we're screwed. Or maybe since it requires not only 9 chunks of memory, but also no neuroticism, we're guaranteed to have benevolent people with no real potential of using their powers for evil, or rather against humanity. Well then, I realize now why Frank Herbert made his book take place in a time when thinking machines were outlawed, and why there was potential for several Kwisatz Haderachs to exist at a single juncture in time, and why mentats were a thing. I can't wait to deduce more given my newfound understanding and share my findings with the world. Wait, no, I may have to first ensure that I don't make it clear how to construct an AI. Holy shit, with great power and no neuroticism comes great responsibility. Perhaps I would be better suited turning my powers to comedy. This is great, just swell. Eureka. Eureka.